Hi everybody, it's Mrs. French, and tonight we're going to talk about regular and stem changer present tense verbs. So first we need to ask ourselves, how do we use the present tense in English, which really means what does the Spanish translate to in English? So our model is hablar, to speak, I do speak, and I am speaking. And I would like to point out that the helping verb do and am are part of the English part of the verb. You do not have a helping verb in Spanish to use, so we're only using basic present tense forms. Next, the next thing is our endings. We have AR verb endings, o, as, a, amos, ais, an. Remember, the vosotros is pronounced like an ice pack or a cup of ice. And then we have ER verbs, o, es, e, hemos, es, en. And the ER vosotros is pronounced like the ace of spades in a deck of cards, ace. We have IR verbs, which the chart goes o, es, e, hemos, is, en. The other thing I want to point out to you is that all three types of verbs share the yo form, o, and the ER-IR verb forms share most of the same endings. The to form, él, ella, usted, ellos, ellas, and ustedes forms, including yo, the only differences come in the nosotros and vosotros forms. Okay, moving on. What are the steps for conjugating the present tense? First, we drop the ending, and what I'm referring to is the AR, ER, IR part of the verb to make a verb stem. When you have a verb with the AR, ER, IR ending, that is called the infinitive. So we're trying to change that, and so we drop that to make the stem, which is the base or root of the verb. Then, number two, we have to figure out when we're trying to write or we're trying to speak, what is the subject so we can choose the correct verb ending to attach to this stem. And so 3 means then once you figure out what the correct ending is, you're going to add this ending to your verb stem. And I have a page here that has examples. I've given you an AR, ER, IR verb. We have hablar, comer, and vivir. They're pretty much your basic model verbs for those 3 types of verbs. You'll see these come up a lot. Then I've given you your stem, hable, come, and vive. You have your yo form, to form, él, ella, usted form, nosotros form, vosotros form, and then we have the ellos forms. I chose to write them in this fashion and not put them in verb charts because I think the eye can get another way of looking at these and get a better idea of what the similarities and differences actually are among the 3 different types of verbs. It's just a different visual. Okay, next thing we have conjugation practice for the AR, ER, IR regular verbs. And so what I'd like you to do is pause the video and get ready to do some practice. Actually, I take that back. I think I have to give you your questions first. So, ella escuchar, tú mirar, nosotros leer, ustedes comer, yo escribir, and vosotros vivir. Now you may pause your video and work on these. When you're done, you may turn it back on to get your answers to see how well you did. Okay, for the ella escuchar, we have escucha. The to form of mirar is miras. Leemos is for the nosotros form of leer. The ustedes form of comer is comen. The yo form of escribir is escribo. And the vosotros form of vivir is vivis. Okay, continuing on now. You can move along. You might be on the back side of your paper. We're going to talk about stem changing verbs. And they're pretty much done the same way, but we have to add a step. And so what we're going to do is the same thing is we're going to drop our ending, AR, ER, IR to make a stem. But now what we have to do is inside that stem, the vowel that is there, it's either an E, an O, or a U, you're going to take that out. You're going to remove it. And then you're going to add into it your special stem changer vowels. Your E will either become E to IE or E to I. Your O will become UE, and your U will become UE as well. So the next thing you'll do is add the correct verb endings after you make the correct stem. And remember, we do not stem change the nosotros nor the vosotros forms. They stay regular. So, what we have then is a boot when you look at the basic verb chart. So, you'll see the nosotros and vosotros were left white, and then the rest of it in red is shaped like a boot. If you can remember the boot visual, that will help remind you where you're actually going to make the stem change take place. All right, let's see what's coming next. Some examples, and this will help you. Okay, so my first example is for an E to IE verb. Querer is a model verb for that. It means to love or to want. What I did is I give you your original stem, quer, once you take the ER off. And we're going to take that blue E out, and we're going to change it and put in the IE. So instead of quer as your stem, you now have quier. Next, you'll see below in the verb chart, quiero, quieres, quiere. Those all stem change. Queremos, querréis. Those are your two stems, nosotros and vosotros, that go back to the original vowel or the original stem of the verb. And then our last one, which is for ellos, ellas, ustedes, is quieren. And so to keep that red boot in your head, I've changed the color of the stem changer here, the IEs, to red. Okay, our next example is going to be for the verb pedir, which is a model verb for E to I verbs. It means to ask for or to order. So our original stem of the verb is ped. If you take the IR off, we're going to change it out, take the E out, and put the I in, and it becomes peed. And so when we conjugate, you'll see all those red I's in the boot. Pido, pides, pide. Pedimos, pedis. Oops, I'm missing an S. Sorry, it's pedis with an S. And piden. All right, our next example for O to UE verbs is almorzar, to eat lunch. Almorz changes to almuerz. And then here is your verb chart. Almuerzo, almuerzas, almuerza, almorzamos, almorzáis, almuerzan. Let's keep going. We have more. Our other example is U to UE. That's a stem changer, and we do jugar typically to play in terms of playing games, not to play an instrument, to play games or to play a sport. Hug is your original stem, but we're going to take that out, that U, and we're going to replace it with UE, so your new stem is pronounced jueg. And so jugar goes this way. Juego, juegas, juega, jugamos, jugáis, juegan. Next, we have some practice for stem changer conjugation, and this will be really important for you to try and do this on your own first. So here are your questions. ella entender, yo merendar, ustedes dormir, tú poder, vosotros servir, and nosotros repetir. And you'll see after the verb in parentheses, I've told you after you make your stem what the vowel is going to become to create your new stem. And so use that information. You may pause now and try and answer these questions. Okay, next we are going to give you the answers. The ella form is entiende for entender. The yo form of merendar is meriendo. The ustedes form of dormir is duermen. The tú form of poder is puedes. The vosotros form of servir is servís. And the nosotros form of repetir, it does not change, it's repetimos. The other thing I need to remind you about is when you have a lot of syllables in a verb, for example, entender has 3 E's in it, merendar has 2 E's in it, repetir has 2 E's. Those kind of get confusing on which E is the stem changer. Always start at the very last letter in the verb, the R, at the end of the ER, AR, IR, and go back 1 E. And it's typically in the middle there that you're going to find which E is going to stem change. So if you made any mistakes with your stem changers, that's probably one of the problems you could have had. All right, here we go. So we've come to the end of our PowerPoint. If you have any questions, please write them down on your paper, and we will talk about them tomorrow. Bye.